The relentless Nevada sun beat down on Sarah's small, isolated trailer, a stark reminder of the brilliant career she had left behind. Once a promising astrophysicist, her days now consisted of processing data for a logistics company near Nellis Air Force Base, a mundane existence far removed from the celestial wonders she once chased. The stars, which had been her lifelong passion, now felt like distant, mocking pinpricks in the vast, unforgiving night sky. A professional failure, a controversial astronomical discovery that had been publicly and brutally discredited, had carved a permanent scar on her soul. The memory of it, sharp and acrid, often clawed at her, especially in the quiet hours. She remembered the conference hall, the stifling air, the sneering face of Dr. Elias Thorne. He had been her rival, a former colleague whose ambition dwarfed his ethics. With a calculated precision that still stung, Thorne had dismantled her findings, painting her as reckless, incompetent, and even delusional. The academic community, eager for scandal, had devoured his narrative, leaving Sarah's reputation in tatters. The humiliation had been absolute, her spirit crushed under the weight of public ridicule. She had retreated, seeking solace in this desolate corner of the desert, where the only judgment came from the indifferent expanse of the cosmos. Yet, beneath the layers of disillusionment, a stubborn ember of purpose still glowed. She knew her theory held weight, not just for personal vindication, but to honor the legacy of her late mentor, whose quiet brilliance had guided her early career, and whose spirit she felt bound to uphold. Then, the lights began. At first they were faint, distant glimmers above the desert horizon, easily dismissed as late-night military exercises from the nearby Air Force Base. Nellis was known for its clandestine operations, its skies a canvas for experimental aircraft. But as the days turned into weeks, the lights grew bolder, forming intricate patterns, silent ballets against the inky blackness. They mirrored the unsettling descriptions of the infamous Phoenix Lights incident, a phenomenon she had always dismissed as mass hysteria. Her scientific mind, however, stirred by a peculiar anomaly in her old, discarded equipment, a forgotten spectrograph covered in desert dust, began to register a dissonance. The energy readings were inexplicable, unlike anything conventional. Cautiously, she reached out to former colleagues. Her inquiries met with polite but firm skepticism, tinged with a familiar condescension. "Still chasing ghosts, Sarah?" one had quipped, reinforcing her chosen isolation. The scientific community had closed ranks against her once, and it seemed they would again. One sweltering afternoon, a mysterious old man with sun-weathered skin and eyes that held the wisdom of countless desert nights appeared at her trailer. He was a local fixture known for his elaborate conspiracy theories, often dismissed as harmless ramblings. He left a tattered envelope filled with faded newspaper clippings and cryptic notes, hinting at a deeper truth behind the lights, speaking of ancient energies and forgotten knowledge. Sarah, though wary, found herself intrigued. His words, though outlandish, resonated with a forgotten part of her mentor's research, a hidden data set she now remembered, tucked away in an old external hard drive. It suggested a peculiar connection between celestial events and terrestrial anomalies, a theory her mentor had been ridiculed for pursuing. As the lights intensified, displaying complex, non-repeating patterns that defied all conventional explanation, Sarah's scientific curiosity reignited, warring with a growing sense of dread. The desert, once her refuge, now felt like a stage for something vast and unknown. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Then, a chilling, anonymous, encrypted message arrived on her outdated laptop. It contained only coordinates and a single ominous word: Thorne. The coordinates led Sarah deep into a forgotten corner of the vast Nevada landscape, far from any paved road, where the dust devils danced in silent communion with the heat haze. After hours of driving, her ancient pickup truck finally crested a rise, revealing a desolate, imposing structure nestled into the side of a canyon. It was an abandoned research facility, its concrete walls crumbling, its windows shattered like vacant eyes staring out at the indifferent desert. A shiver traced its way down Sarah's spine. This was the very facility her mentor had hinted at in his later, more esoteric notes. A place where he had conducted some of his most unconventional experiments, far from the prying eyes of the academic establishment. The air, thick with the scent of rust and decay, seemed to hum with forgotten secrets. Pushing open a heavy, grimy door that groaned in protest, Sarah stepped into the cavernous interior. Dust motes danced in the sparse beams of sunlight filtering through cracks in the roof, illuminating a scene of scientific abandonment. Yet amidst the debris she found signs of recent activity. A faint, almost imperceptible sheen of oil on rusty machinery, a discarded energy bar wrapper, a sophisticated data port incongruously connected to an ancient mainframe. Thorne. It had to be him. He hadn't just discredited her mentor's work, he had continued it, twisting its purpose, all while publicly disavowing its existence. The sheer audacity of his hypocrisy ignited a fresh wave of anger within her. She remembered the day of the public disgrace with renewed clarity. Thorne, with his perfectly tailored suit and condescending smirk, had stood before the academic board, wielding Sarah's own data against her. He had meticulously picked apart her methodology, questioned her sanity, and then, with a flourish, presented his own rebuttals, arguments that, in hindsight, were thinly veiled reinterpretations of her mentor's foundational theories. He hadn't just sought to destroy her career, he had been meticulously paving the way for his own ascent, ensuring that any groundbreaking discoveries would be attributed solely to him. His ambition was a cold, calculating force, capable of crushing anyone who stood in his path. Amongst the clutter of decaying equipment, Sarah stumbled upon a locked, fireproof safe. With a surge of adrenaline, she remembered the combination, her mentor's birth date, a detail only she knew. Inside, nestled amongst old schematics and cryptic equations, were her mentor's personal journals. Their leather covers were worn smooth from years of handling, the pages filled with his familiar, elegant script. She devoured them page after page, her heart pounding with each revelation. He had chronicled his growing concern about a specific celestial event, an alignment that coincided precisely with the first sightings of the Phoenix Lights. He believed the lights were not extraterrestrial visitors, as many speculated, but a natural phenomenon, a complex interplay of cosmic energy and terrestrial electromagnetism, misinterpreted by conventional science. He wrote of its immense power, its potential for profound understanding, but also its inherent danger if mishandled. A chilling realization washed over Sarah. Thorne wasn't merely seeking glory. He was attempting to control this phenomenon, to harness its raw energy, fundamentally misinterpreting her mentor's warnings. He saw a weapon where her mentor saw a wonder, a source of power where her mentor saw a delicate balance. Suddenly, a metallic clang echoed from the entrance. Sarah froze, her hand instinctively reaching for a heavy wrench. The silhouette of a man filled the doorway, tall and imposing even in the dim light. Elias Thorne. His eyes, glinting with a predatory intelligence, swept across the abandoned lab, finally settling on Sarah. A slow, chilling smile spread across his face. Sarah, always so predictable yet so delightfully persistent, he purred, his voice resonating with an unnerving calm. I knew you'd find your way here. My little breadcrumbs were for you, after all. He gestured around the dilapidated facility. This is where our mentor truly understood the universe, a place I've now perfected. Join me, Sarah. Imagine the possibilities. We could finally prove your theory, vindicate your name. Together we could reshape the world. His words, laced with the allure of past ambition, were a tempting poison. But Sarah met his gaze, her own eyes burning with a fresh resolve. My vindication won't come from twisting my mentor's legacy, Thorne. It comes from honoring the truth, something you've clearly forgotten. Thorne's smile vanished, replaced by a cold, hard glint. Truth? Foolishness. I seek power, Sarah. The sheer, unadulterated energy of these lights. Imagine. Unlimited power, a revolution in energy, in warfare. This, he swept his hand across the facility, is the key. As if on cue, the lights outside intensified, pulsing with an angry, erratic rhythm. The old facility groaned, dust raining down from the ceiling. A deep hum vibrated through the floor. Thorn moved swiftly towards a console, his fingers flying across a complex array of buttons and switches. "The alignment is peaking," he muttered, a manic glint in his eyes. "Finally, I can seize it." With a triumphant roar, Thorn activated a massive device, its core glowing with an unholy blue light. A deafening surge of energy ripped through the facility, shaking it to its foundations. Concrete cracked, metal shrieked, and the very air crackled with raw power. The entire structure began to crumble, dust and debris cascading down around them, threatening to bury them both. The facility groaned under the immense strain, its ancient foundations buckling as Thorn's device roared to life. Sarah, caught in the maelstrom of collapsing concrete and shrieking metal, fought against the rising panic. Her mentor's words echoed in her mind, not about control, but about understanding, about the delicate balance of this natural phenomenon. This energy, he had written, was not meant to be caged, but to flow, to cycle. Thorn, in his arrogant pursuit of power, was attempting to force a river upstream, threatening to unleash a catastrophic deluge. She lunged towards the console, dodging a falling beam, her eyes scanning the complex interface. Thorn, his face alight with a terrifying zeal, was frantically making adjustments, seemingly oblivious to the imminent destruction around them. He was a man possessed, his ambition blinding him to the very real danger he was creating. The air crackled with ozone, the blue light from the device pulsed erratically, and the lights outside, once a distant spectacle, now seemed to press in on the facility, threatening to tear it apart. "Thorn, stop, you're going to destroy everything," Sarah yelled over the din, her voice hoarse. "This isn't control. It's annihilation. This energy isn't a weapon, it's a natural current. You can't force it." He merely scoffed, a wild, triumphant laugh escaping his lips. "Nonsense, Sarah. This is the culmination of everything. Your mentor was too timid, too afraid to seize true power." She saw a faint diagram on a secondary screen, a schematic her mentor had drawn, detailing the energy's natural flow, its rhythmic ebb and surge. Thorn's modifications were an aggressive disruption trying to bottle a supernova. Her heart pounded, a frantic drumbeat against the symphony of destruction. She needed to reroute the energy, to allow it to dissipate naturally, to prevent the explosion that would undoubtedly consume them both and likely scar the desert for miles around. Remember his true vision? "Elias," she pleaded, appealing to a ghost of the man she once knew. "He sought to understand, not to dominate. He taught us humility before the universe." For a fleeting moment, Thorn's fingers hovered over the controls, his eyes losing their manic gleam, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty, a shadow of the respected scientist he had once been. The mention of their mentor, the man they both revered, seemed to pierce through his delusion. He saw the crumbling walls, the desperate fear in Sarah's eyes, the sheer uncontrolled chaos he had unleashed. A spasm of doubt crossed his face, a momentary crack in the edifice of his ambition. But it was fleeting. His pride, a formidable beast, quickly reasserted itself. He snarled, shaking his head. "No, my vision is superior." Seizing the microsecond of his hesitation, Sarah slammed her palm onto an emergency override panel, a forgotten safety measure her mentor had installed. A series of alarms blared, a different, less aggressive hum replaced the violent roar, and the blue light from the device dimmed, then stabilized. The external lights, which had been thrashing like a caged beast, began to recede, their erratic pulses smoothing into a gentle, rhythmic glow before slowly fading into the vast night sky. The facility, though still heavily damaged, ceased its immediate collapse. Dust settled, revealing the silence that had been swallowed by the chaos. Thorn stared at the now quiescent device, then at Sarah, his face a mask of disbelief and dawning horror. The raw power he had craved had slipped through his grasp, diffused and rendered harmless by her quick thinking. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder with each passing second, a stark reminder that their isolated confrontation would soon be over. Thorne, defeated and disoriented, offered no resistance as authorities swarmed the facility. His betrayal, his reckless ambition, was laid bare for all to see. In the aftermath, Sarah's name was cleared. Her mentor's journals detailing the true nature of the lights and Thorne's misinterpretation provided irrefutable evidence. The scientific community, initially skeptical, now listened with renewed respect as Sarah presented her findings, not as a triumph of control, but as a profound understanding of a natural wonder. Weeks later, Sarah stood beneath the vast, star-dusted canopy of the Nevada desert, the air cool and crisp. The Phoenix lights were gone, for now, their energy dissipated harmlessly back into the cosmic currents. She gazed up at the constellations, no longer with the bitterness of a disgraced scientist, but with a renewed sense of wonder, a quiet joy. Her mentor's legacy was honored, not through a dramatic, world-changing discovery, but through the patient, humble pursuit of truth. She had found her redemption, not in vindication, but in the quiet, profound understanding of the universe, a universe that still held countless mysteries, waiting to be unveiled.